Mark, would you like to pick out either any of the things that Eric's just raised or some thoughts from the report itself?
Okay, well, firstly, thank you very much, Anne and Kevin and the team at ODI for putting this on. I think it is a useful opportunity from my point of view to come and have this discussion, and there's not a better place in London, actually, to do it than to here. So thank you very much. I want to say something about the value of reviews. We don't feel currently in DFID under-scrutinised. The most important accountability we have with our ministers is to Parliament. I don't think it's very well understood what a powerful and effective role the Select Committee plays. There's absolutely no margin in me trying to make my number with Malcolm on this now because he's leaving anyway. But I do want to make that point. I think the scrutiny from the Select Committee is a very important, powerful thing for the department. I'm, of course, also accountable to the Public Accounts Committee for some elements of what I do, and there's the National Audit Office, which generates a programme of work. I think it's a strength, as Eric says, that we have very capable think tanks and NGOs in London and the UK, which add to the accountability. And of course, we've also got ICAI. So, we're blessed in many ways, and I think that is a good thing. However, the peer review by the DAC is special for three reasons in particular. Firstly, because it's comprehensive. It looks at the whole of the development agenda, the whole of government, not just the department, and the whole of the UK's engagement, not just government. And there's nothing else that tries to take such a comprehensive approach. The second thing which makes the peer review powerful is that it's conducted by our peers. I was a peer reviewer myself for the Australians 6 or 7 years ago, and I've been through a series of the UK exercises on being reviewed. And I can tell you, when your counterparts and your peers are doing this exercise, it carries with it a different set of things than when any other group are doing it. And certainly, I know that Claire, my colleague over there, who did a lot of work coordinating our side of the peer review, and all my other colleagues really enjoyed the fact that they were being reviewed by their counterparts. And this is the only process where that happens. And then the third thing that's special about it is that it's rigorous. It didn't always used to be rigorous, by the way, but under the last 3 or 4 years, not least under the approach Eric's brought to it, there's less sort of manipulation or trading on what the outcome is. The Secretariat have toughened up. I think that's a very good thing. And it's also regular, which means that you can go back to the last one, find out what was said, what the relevant government decided they would do about it, and then ask, did they do it and what difference did it make? And that is quite a powerful thing. I think that the conclusions that the reviewers have reached are a very fair set of conclusions. I mean, obviously there's a set of things in here that, from my point of view and point of view of ministers, and in particular the 3,000 people who work in the department, were pleased to get some recognition for, that the UK does have a leadership role. We tried to use it strategically. We have worked hard to retain the poverty focus, which Eric talked about. We do think that the institutional arrangements, including the role of the NSC, the way we engage with the NSC, the fact that since 1997 the political head of the department's been a member of the cabinet, we think those are actually quite powerful features. It's important from my point of view that there's some validation of whether we're delivering the programme effectively or not, because that is an important part of the accountability. We do need a results system for that. I'll pick up Eric's point, but the fact that you thought we had an impressive results system provided me with some reassurance. We do need to have we need transparency and a focus on continuous improvement, because that is what, as the report says, that's what sustains our high reputation and profile. If you are regarded as doing a broadly good job, your biggest danger is complacency. So how you generate and establish and sustain a culture of continuous improvement becomes a really big deal. And I was particularly keen that the review team looked hard at whether they thought we were doing a good job on that. And well, you've all seen what the report says on that point. Let me just pick up one or two points on Eric's 4 areas. Firstly, on this issue of what the forward agenda is. The Secretary of State, actually, in another of the UK's leading development hothouses tomorrow, is setting out in an important speech what the government's done against what it said it would do in 2010 and her thoughts on the forward agenda. And that's, to pick up your point, that is beyond HMG, and also it picks up the some of the points that are in the Select Committee's actually rather important recent report on the future of UK development cooperation, which no doubt Malcolm will talk more about. I agree with Eric's point on VFM and results. He's exactly right to say that there was a completely lamentable, a little bit shameful under focus on that for too much of the long period before 2010. But there is a risk of overdoing it. And from my point of view, what I am keen to ensure is that we count what can be counted, but we don't pretend that everything that matters can be counted. And there's a sort of balance to be struck there. And to be invited to make sure we strike the balance right is a helpful thing. We do need to listen and learn. You know, power is becoming more diffuse and polarized, and no country has none of the sort of big former countries have the level of influence in other places that they might have had in the past or they wish they had. So collaboration in the modern world becomes a bigger deal, and you have to listen and learn if you want to collaborate effectively. One of the things we have been trying to do is engage better with beneficiaries in the countries in which we work. And this is actually one of the, in my opinion, one of the best sort of insights ICAI have brought is to encourage us to have a stronger focus on beneficiaries and get beneficiary feedback. And of course, Eric's point that we should do more with the private sector is absolutely music to the ears of the current government, because that has been a priority. I suspect you would all be keen to know what our response is to the recommendations in the review. I'm also quite keen to know that myself. As you know, obviously we're having an election. We'll get a new agenda on the 8th of May, and from my point of view, the timing of this is therefore extremely helpful, because it is an agenda which addresses a number of things that will be on the table straight after the election, and I think the analysis is a powerful analysis. The only thing I would say about this is that if you look back over the history of peer reviews, certainly the last 4 or 5, and I think this is a point the reviewers themselves made, the UK does actually have an extremely strong track record in responding to earlier recommendations. And the reason for that is because the reports were good and the recommendations we thought were right, so we'll see where we get to on this one. So the last thing I want to say really is to just formally put on record, as this is the first public occasion I've had an opportunity to do it, how grateful we are in the department to the reviewers, our Dutch and Danish colleagues, who are the heart of the review team. And it's a jolly good thing that we had some of the most progressive countries on development come and look at the UK, because that meant the bar was a high bar. And also to the Secretariat. The Secretariat capability on peer review, having looked at the system over the last 20 years or so, in my opinion, has got a lot better. And I think that Jon Lemoy and the colleagues in the Secretariat who report up through the Secretary-General, and then Eric, who provides a political supervision, I think that system works better than it used to in the past, and long may that continue. And in the meantime, thank you very much.
Thank you. So praise for you too, Eric, and strengthening the Secretariat. I think I'm not the only one who's also wondering how we're going to manage after the 8th of May, when Sir Malcolm Bruce, who has chaired the International Development Committee since 2005. Will step down. But before he did, he produced and coordinated this report, which we're also discussing today on the future of development cooperation, phase 2 beyond aid. So, Sir Malcolm, please tell us your thoughts.